in my life, I made a story, and I first explained it. It was the one about Lulu, 11, Skullberry. Now I'm gonna run down the whole entire plot right here because it's never gonna be published. Lulu wakes up one day. She's a young child. She's hanging out with her relatives. I think it's a sister, Togo, and she's hanging out with also her mother, Skullberry. Now she's really close to her mother. They hang out a lot. Then, one unfortunate day, Skullberry and Lulu get called by Bone. Bone is Skullberry's sister. Skullberry doesn't know why, but Bone has a plan. And tries to kill Skullberry and succeeds. Lulu is scared, so Lulu runs away. Lulu spends a lot of time alone. Then she meets somebody she likes. They get engaged or whatever, I don't know why. Then she goes back. Fights. Bone kind of gives an ominous warning about where Togo might be located. And then Lulu snaps her neck. Lulu then gives birth to a son and a daughter. The son is named 13 and the daughter is named 11. 11 is born with powers and can give any, she can give up to 100 people powers. So she starts naming people numbers and giving them powers. This leads to jealousy among Shoko, who wanted powers but never got it. So after a while, she just stops being friends with 11, and that's sad. 7 and 9 got powers, and 7 and 9 are not good people. They're part of the villain's team. Togo is a villain. She was working with Bone all along. She takes her 2 daughters in. What are they going to do? How are they going to eliminate 11? They start planning and planning and planning until they figured out something. 9 would tug on the heartstrings of 11's brother and try to make them think they're in a relationship. So she does that, and 11 warns 13. 9 is sus, don't trust her, but 13 doesn't care. Now 11 has friends. All of them are girls. Her friends are 12. Besides 13, 12, 13, 17, and 18. 12 is a shy girl. 13 is just a normal boy. 17 is this girl who is just a side character. And 18 is one of the boastful people. Kind of like a Rainbow Dash personality. They all hang out and talk. There's a lot of them talking. But basically, in the middle of talking, they hear some suspicious things coming from 13. And then they realize realize who 9 actually is. They're like, oh my gosh, we have to go eliminate that. So they tell Lulu about it, and she does nothing. And then she does something. And then there's a war. And the war ends with basically Togo trying to kill 12, but then 11's like, no, you don't kill 12. Kills Togo. And then everyone's happy. And then a few stories, like more just them magic training or whatever, and trying to be friends with Shoko again. Shoko becomes a friend again. And then a 10, somebody who was a part of book 2, goes into this world, becomes human. Her friends are named Rory, Hagamada, Neoma, and Yaparina. All of them basically have the power to fly, except for Hagamada. And it's just the same old, I don't have magic, so I'm jealous and I don't want to hang out with you guys, trying to be friends with their non-magical friend again. But this time in the Isle of 10, and also Rory had an older sibling who was a villain, because the older siblings are always villains. Rory is 9, but 9's gender bent form, because for some reason 9 turned into a boy, because when the portal you go in doesn't allow you to go in, it changes your gender and makes you lose your memories, so you'll never remember. The funniest part about that is I don't think that really mattered. She still had a girl's body though. I think she was just called like he, him, but it literally was nothing. It didn't matter. It was just a funny plot point that I laughed at. And it was childish. The whole thing is childish. It's just basically somebody has magic, somebody doesn't. That somebody gets mad, and then it's like, oh, we have to go fight villains, but also try to maintain our friendship. And the obvious jealousy is growing. Now, jealousy plots aren't bad. I think jealousy and envy can be used in stories really good, but for this, it didn't really work. So I think what I do is change it up a little bit. I'd make 11 a rebel, because technically, like, kids 11 to 13 years old are kind of rebellious, and not in the teenager way, like I think the childish way, and I think since 11 was in that age group, she should be a villain. I think all of them should be in the age group of 11 to 13. I think it should be less gory too, because, you know, it was technically made for children, so then again, Warrior Cats got away with gore, but still. I make 11 rebel against her mom, because her mom, you know, gives the recap of what happened with her and Scorpion, and tries to make, she's kind of a helicopter mom, and that makes 11 mad, and 11's like, I have magic, my mom doesn't have magic, why is she telling me what to do? I can literally blast her with fire, or drown her. Like, she wouldn't do that, but she's basically saying, like, why doesn't anyone respect me or fear me? And instead of her being a person who gives out magical powers, she's just, I think she could still give out magical powers, but she mostly would want to keep it to her friend group. I think the whole thing with Shoko doesn't need to happen. And I think 10 could be like, no, I think 12 would be that friend who always questions, saying, are we sure we should do this, to the point where it makes 11 mad, and she doesn't want to be friends with 12 anymore, because 12 is questioning 11's authority. So 11 just says, well, you know what, you don't have to be here if you don't want to. The rest of the crew goes and joins Togo because they're rebels. Very young children, rebels, do end up kind of being influenced by the wrong people. Basically, it'll be like this whole don't be influenced. If we're leaning into like a children's series trope, we should make it a life lesson, I think. And Togo seems like she understands them. Like, oh yeah, I don't like Lulu either. She's always telling me what to do. And Lulu's younger than me. Why is she doing this? I don't know. But then, after a couple of their hangouts, Togo would drop a bombshell and use some secret thing that 11 makes, like I think a magical weapon or something, and steals all their powers. And 11, the one thing that 11 loved about herself is gone. She's powerless. She's nothing. She's not superior. So she gets scared, and she's the only one that could run away, while the rest of her friends get locked up in prisons. And now 11 meets 12. They have this mature, for their age, conversation, which ends up in 11 apologizing. And then 11 goes back to her mom. And her ears are down, her tail's between her legs. She's just like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do this. And she just spills everything out. And then Lulu obviously gets 11's dad involved, and Lulu and 11's dad, they punish 11 because 11 needs to be punished. And 11 is sitting in her punishment, worried about what's going to happen to her friends now that they all don't have powers. But then 12 says, I have powers. So 11 uses 12's powers. Well, tells 12 what to do with her powers to get the situation right. And then the war happens between Lulu and Togo. It'll end the same way. Togo tries to kill 12 and Lulu, but 11's not going to allow that. And then 11 would get a vision from Scorpio. Basically, Scorpio gives 11's powers back, but stronger, and 11 kills Togo, and everyone is rejoicing. That's basically what I would change, because I think it'll show this character differently. Instead of the one everyone loves, what if she's secretly insecure and kind of got an ego issue? It'll make total sense for her being 11 years old and all. And I think we'd end the series like shortly, maybe make it one book long, but 11 just, she grows up, becomes an adult, and like she could get married or not. It honestly doesn't matter to the story, but we could show her change and more mature. She's hanging out with her friends, and she's like, remember those old days? Yeah. And then they all just talk like people who miss their childhood. I think that would be a better story for this, to be honest. But what are your thoughts about it? Should I make this a series or should I not? Comment down on any one of my videos below. And have a good day.